Deezer says that nearly half of what's uploaded to streaming today is AI. We talked to the guy whose job it is to catch it. Manuel and Deezer have been industry leaders in fraud, AI detection, and the user-centric versus pro-rata payout model.
So it was our great pleasure. We got to sit down and chat with Manuel Musalam, whose title over at Deezer is VP of Research and Data Science, and hear about everything that goes on behind the scenes at Deezer. So without further ado, let's let it roll.
Stand by for transmission.
This is London calling.
Wake up! The revolution is at hand!
Your morning coffee is on the air.
Standing by.
Your morning coffee, the weekly music news for the new music business. It's the highly curated, agitated, advocated, moderated, and liberated digital music information that you need to know. We are your digital music authority. And now from our studios in Hollywood, California, here's your hosts, Jay Gilbert and Mike Etchart.
Manuel, thank you so much for joining us today. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All the way from the Alps.
Absolutely, the French mountains.
Let's kick this off with, I feel like Deezer really punches above its weight. You're groundbreaking in so many different ways, and there's so many things I'd like to touch on. But let's start off with some of the hot button items today. AI, of course. There is streaming fraud. There are people who are creating music with AI, but it's not that simple, is it? It's not just you're using Suno or Udio or some platform to, with a text prompt, create a song. There are levels in AI where people may introduce lyrics or a bass line or horn section or string section. How do you approach that massive thing called AI?
Well, you're right. There is a variety of phenomenon that superposes, basically, and we call AI a whole range of different things, really. There are some genuine artists using AI in their creations, and there are some robots or program scripts that just generates massive amounts of music in a completely automated ways. All of that is basically what we call AI, and we have to kind of take care of this because it enters our catalog and we want it to be treated separately, let's say.
Yeah.
So we have to consider that people are using AI in various ways. And I would say that our main focus has always been to tackle automated processes, people who are just scripting music generation.
Yeah.
Interesting. Your title is VP of Research and Data Science. Give us a little bit of background on how you came to have this position and what are the skills that you have that allows you to create and now monitor and identify all of this stuff?
Well, my main skill is that I've been at Deezer for a long time. I would say I joined the company in 2014. Before that, I did a PhD in signal processing. So my focus was always music analysis and music analysis with computers. So basically a branch of informatics and computer science dedicated to analyzing vast amounts of music. And I've always been interested in understanding how music is created and then how music is consumed, which is basically what the research and development team is doing at Deezer, trying to understand the music and how people want to interact with it. So it's a lot of catalog management, detection of noises, detection of instrumental vocals, finding languages, understanding all of that, categorization, a lot of recommendation algorithms too. And finally, also some studies on user behavior, basically how people consume music. And I would say maybe just the natural curiosity of people of my team is to try to understand why actually us humans, we like to listen to music in the first place,
Yeah.
which is a complex question. So we have a lot to research.
Well, I go to the Deezer research page, and we've published some of your articles there. I have to admit, a lot of this stuff is way over my head. I have to, run it through Claude or Google some of the terms that you use. I was telling Mike about this piece that you wrote. The headline is "Learning Linearity in Audio Consistency Autoencoders via Implicit Regularization." Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense for some of us. I probably wouldn't be able to explain to you all the papers that are on the website, because there's a whole team of researchers that have passed through Deezer through the years. And I'm not a specialist in everything, but if you want, I could maybe explain this one.
Well, there's so many of these. I want to save our time for a couple of other things first. I'm applauding you for your knowledge about these and really helping to educate people on these things, as we try to do. I guess the question is, you've been doing this, detection technology for a few years now. What's the hardest technical problem that you have to solve?
Well, I would say the hardest technical problem is simplicity, because when we first were trying to detect AI-generated music, and by we, I say mostly Darius Afshar, who's the main researcher on the topic on our team, and also Romain Quin, Gabriel Messeguer. Well, first, a few years ago, we first did what everyone is doing. So we trained a machine learning system. We feed him with thousands of examples of AI music, thousands of examples of human music, and soon enough you get a classifier that works. And it kind of works. I mean, it was able to tell apart AI music and human music. But the thing is, it works and you don't know why. So the hard part then came after that, when you try to understand why the classifier is able to do that, and by understanding why, it turns out we were able to develop another system that is much more simple. That is not a machine learning system. It's not AI that we use to detect AI. It's actually something that is grounded in mathematics and in signal processing theory. And that was the more interesting part, because we were able to say, okay, these are the kind of artifacts that will appear when you use AI generative models. And if you find these artifacts, then we just label the song as AI. So that is turning something that works into something that not only works, but is also simple and explainable.
Well, so I was going to say, we both Jay and I were talking about this a little bit, but what are the tells, I guess? What is there sort of things that are really obvious that anybody can sort of notice, or is it granular? Is it, all of these things? What do you have to kind of contemplate when you're seeing something?
It's definitely not something that you can hear. It's not something that us humans are able to detect in the audio signal. These generative models, they have a very complicated job to do, which is to create a whole audio piece. And to create a song, you have to generate 44,000 different values each second. So it's a huge amount of things that you need to create. In order to do that, they are all built on the same principle. Like you have an encoder that will turn your query, your prompt into something, and then you have the decoder part. And the decoding part, you can think of it as unfolding a piece of paper, but thousands of times. If you unfold a piece of paper, you will have some crease marks, And let's say we have a special light that tell this crease mark in the piece of paper. And if they're here, you know that the paper has been unfolded. And if they are not here, it's a genuine piece of paper that was, it didn't come from this unfolding machine. So this is an equivalent of the artifacts that we look for in the audio frequency domain, let's say. It's based on a mathematical modeling of this decoder. And if we see these marks, then we know that it's been unfolded by a machine.
You're sharing your technology. Why share it and not keep it proprietary?
Well, I think it's quite simple, and we've always shared with the scientific community our research, especially on this domain, because generative models are going to evolve, and we want the scientific knowledge to evolve in the same time. So, as we're part of this community, we benefit from other researchers' work, and we want to give back basically to the community. Now, what we've done also is commercialize our detection tool for a lot of people who don't want to re-implement scientific papers. And we have direct agreements, B2B deals basically for, let's say, yeah, partners. So it's not completely free. It's open for everyone who wants to dig into it and understand how it works and reproduce our results. But there's also a commercial version.
Interesting. You guys talk about a 99.8% accuracy. How is that measured? You know, it's a little teeny bit must get through, but how do you measure that?
That's the hard question. I think precision, so how much you're able to reach this 99.9, or it doesn't really matter. The real problem is how much false positive you're going to make. So false positive is every piece of audio that you detect as AI generating, but you know it's not AI generated. And this is the real deal. This is the actual metric that matters, because again, you can always train a machine learning system and it will give you this 99.8%. It will work and you get through that. But how much mistakes do you do in the other sense? Like how much, for instance, music from the 80s will you label as AI generated? And when you know it's not AI generated because it's been recorded in the past. So this is how we actually measure performance, and this is how we make sure that our technology is reliable enough for us to confidently label things on our website.
So the latest numbers that I saw, maybe these have been updated, but it was something around 75,000 AI tracks that are being uploaded every day, and that's like 44% of new uploads. Are you finding that these numbers are increasing over time?
Oh, they've been increasing steadily since we've started detecting AI music in January 2025, yes. So, but again, when you think about it, it's so easy to just instruct a computer to generate this music, and you can automatize the whole processing chain, like generate music, deliver it through to a streaming platform. All of that can be scripted, so it's not so surprising that it just keeps getting up and up, these numbers.
Yeah. Are you allowing it to be on Deezer but not monetized, or are you just shutting it down completely?
It's very hard to make like hard decisions. What we try to have is some kind of editorial policy in place that says, okay, AI music, we can't prove that you've created this piece of music with a computer and no human was ever involved. So we can't really know what the creative process has been, and we won't be the judge of whether it's okay or not okay. What we can't and what we won't have on the platform is people listening to your content without knowing that it's AI generated. And I think we've shifted the focus to the users, saying if we have transparency for our users, then they will have to make the decision whether they want to listen to it or not. And we don't have to be judges or do the cop or whatever. So our job is to label, make sure that this content does not come into your recommendation, because once you're listening to an automated playlist, you don't have the attention to understand that it's been AI generated, so you won't see the labels. We flag it on the website and we remove it from algorithmic recommendation, basically. And then people make their choice, and if they want to listen to it, they can.
I'd like to kind of go backwards a little bit. Tell me about how you first started noticing this. You've been at Deezer for more than a decade. What was the realization like when all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, this flood is about to get huge? But how did you notice and how did you react early on?
Well, honestly, I was already amazed when I joined Deezer by the sheer amount of music that we received on a daily basis back then. Again, if you go back in time, people have been trying to distribute audio pieces to streaming service for fraudulent reasons. So But back then it was noises. So we had lots of noise albums, so noise of rain, noise of environmental sounds and everything, lots and lots of them, because it was easy to generate also and find online or whatever. And I think what AI and generative models have allowed is for the people who were doing that, now they have new ways to generate audio and not only noises, but also something that resemble music. So I guess this flooding is not something that appeared right away. It's been steadily increasing the number of deliveries we've had. It's been increasing since I joined. So it's not like it's a sudden explosion. It's just a constant increase. And AI is the latest tool that is being used by people to generate music.
Is anybody listening to AI generated music? I know we hear about the Zanaya Monets of the world that maybe have tens of millions of streams, but that's sort of an anomaly. Is anybody seeking out AI generated music, or is it just kind of clogging up the works?
Well, AI music is no different from the rest of our catalog. So if you look at the thousands of new albums that we get every day, most of them won't be listened by a lot of people. Actually, a big amount of them won't find their audience at all. And it's no different for AI. I mean, if you don't have, I mean, obviously, if you're not a real artist, you don't have marketing, you don't do concerts, you don't do gigs or whatever, there is absolutely no reason that anyone would listen to your content on a streaming platform. So what we have is some very concentrated streams on AI music that is trending on social networks, for instance. So I don't know, TikTok trends, and you have this AI song that make kids laugh, or sometimes my kids. This will get some streams on Deezer, but mostly it's way below 1% of the streams on the platform. But it's likely also because of this editorial policy that I've explained to you. Like, since we don't promote it, there is no real reason that it gets consumed on the platform.
Yeah. Let me follow that up with just another quick question. Do you think you would ever implement a policy where people are charged for having their music on Deezer if it didn't hit certain thresholds? And the reason I mention that is you look at some of these Luminate reports that show that, 25% of the 253 million tracks that they had, have not been played once. At some point, you're still putting you're on servers and storing them and metadata. It's, there's a lot to it. Is there a solution to just that mass amount of music that's up there, and could charging people if you're not getting 1,000 streams in a 12-month period or something like that?
Well, we're already taking some actions to kind of limit the amount of storage that we have when it comes to content that is not streamed at all, for instance. But you're right. I mean, if the trend keeps going up and up, at some point there will have to be some change in policy, and we won't be able to accept everything and become some kind of free drive space for people to just upload their music.
Yeah. Thanks.
Back on the AI question, do you ever get pushback from legitimate artists that are using AI in some capacity that kind of get caught up in the dragnet of the AI tools that are the tools that are identifying AI created music?
On a daily basis, maybe?
Only on a daily basis.
Yeah, no. We've received a lot of feedback from artists and creators who did not really understand our labeling of the content we have. The thing is, the key aspect of our method is that it's explainable. So we can go look into the signal and we look for the artifacts, and we are able to justify this decision. So it's not an automated process. This is something that we can go and manually inspect the audio signal and see for ourselves if the artifacts have been misinterpreted or something like that. In some rare occasions, it can be that the artist is not aware that he's using AI. For instance, if you go through a distributor that is providing a functionality that allows you to improve the mastering, you may not know that it's actually an AI model that is doing this automated mastering. And we've seen that kind of example. There are also some people who had just taken some samples online, and they didn't realize that these samples or these instrumental pieces were actually AI generated. So whenever we get some feedback and pushback by artists, we ask them to describe their creative process, and we try to inspect what it was, understand where these artifacts may come from, and then we can also sometimes remove the tag if we consider that, for instance, okay, it's a byproduct of some processing that the artists are not aware of, or things like that. So we engage in a discussion with them basically, and we do that quite often. Yes.
I have a follow-up to that, actually. We talk about artifacts a lot, or you have been talking about artifacts a lot. Is an artifact oral or audio only? So let's say I just use one of the platforms to help me generate lyrics. Are those considered or potentially artifacts as well, or is an artifact only something audio?
No, so there are two aspects in your question. We've tried to create detectors that would detect that the lyrics are AI generated, so based on the text itself. It kind of works, but it works like 80%, which is not enough for... I think I lost you. Am I back?
Yes.
So yeah, the detector that worked on the lyrics is only reaching something like 80% precision, which is not enough for us to use that to tag content on the platform. So right now, on the production side, we only rely on audio artifacts.
I would love to see some of the data sets that you see and the behavior and all of that stuff. I think it's fascinating, but I'd love to talk to you about, did you do work to sort of look at artist-centric versus pro rata to sort of, make sense of it? Does it, will the artist make more? Is it more fair? Talk about your stance and your work that you've done on artist-centric versus pro rata.
Well, this is not something that has been done specifically in my team, but what we know at Deezer for a long time is that the pro rata system is the source of a lot of evil in the streaming world. Let's say it provides the bad incentives for the bad actors. So it basically, it tells people that if you generate a lot of streams, you're going to get more money than you can invest into account. So the whole thing is kind of bad from the beginning. Moving to a user-centric system or an artist-centric system, as we've been able to provide, is actually solving so much problems in terms of limiting the amount of royalties that can be diverted by fraudulent means. And again, it pervades then through the whole AI discussions, because a lot of the usage we find on AI is actually fraudulent usage, because people have been generating this music to try to create botnets to listen to it and generate fake streams. And this problem of fraudulent activity has been there for a lot of time. And I think by switching to a user-centric or artist-centric model, you kind of limit seriously the amount of damages that fraud can do.
If you're a streamer and you want to do this, talk about what happens on the back end. And, how hard is it to just kind of shift gears like that and move from one way of doing it to another? It seems like that's got to be a hugely complicated and enormous task.
From moving towards what?
Moving from pro rata to user centric. Like if you're a streamer and you decide to do that, as you did, how long does that take to?
An artist perspective, from an artist standpoint, it doesn't change at all. I mean, it's just the royalty computation that is completely done on the streaming service side. And for a huge majority of artists, it will actually increase the amount of royalties they will receive. What shifting models do is that it kind of limits the concentration of revenue in the streaming ecosystem. And it has a lot of other, I think, beneficial effects. But I could be talking about that for a long time, and, even though I'm not the most qualified person at Deezer to do.
All right. Tell us a little bit about Remix Lab. What can you tell us about that?
Remix Lab is the latest features that we've developed at Deezer to try and test the idea that our users would like to interact with the music they like, the music they love, and interact it with in the same way that music producers or musicians do, which is reinterpret your favorite pieces. So we know that it's been around for a long time actually in the industry. We've tried in the past a lot of prototypes of ways for our users to manipulate the music and play with it and have some kind of enhanced listening where you can actually play and change a bit the audio to your mood. And this is the first time we've actually had a deal and we managed to create a product that was appealing to the artist. It's completely human made, so it doesn't imply AI at any step. We're working with human producers who have created these kind of nice stems that you can use to remix. And it's, I think, a very nice way for the average Joe to experience what musicians, producers feel when they remix a song. So you can play with stems and you can accelerate, you can add effects and everything. So it turns basically everyone into a amateur DJ, and I think it's cool.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, we just listened to the music or we'd go see it live. Today, people are speeding up, slowing down, remixing. It feels like younger people really want to be involved almost in that creation process, but certainly in the manipulation of their favorite music.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great feeling. I mean, I'm an amateur DJ myself. I like to twist songs and create weird things, do mashups and everything. So I guess I understand the enjoyment that everyone can have playing around like that. So the fact that it's rightly available in a streaming app is also making it more easy for everyone to try.
Nice. I have one more question about the detection tool. Moving forward, as we move forward with detecting AI music in streaming services, is there a checkmate that some of the platforms can do to make it harder for you to detect? Is there kind of a counterpoint that they can do? And will that kind of be the future of a lot of the detection stuff, that it's constantly improving to counteract whatever some of the platforms might be doing?
It's actually very easy to do very small modification of an audio piece and completely erase our detection ability. So it's actually fairly easy to bypass our detector already right now. We've tried to be as transparent as possible in our research papers as to the means that kind of processing that we are not robust to, basically. So we know already that there are lots of limitations, and you can already find online people who sell software to bypass our detector, for instance. Don't buy it because it doesn't work. We've tried, but still, people are going to try, and on our side, we are going to improve our detector and try to be more and more robust. So, I mean, we still have researchers working full time trying to make it better, make it more reliable, trying to understand if we can detect that a specific stem has been generated and not the whole piece, working on the lyrics, working on other aspects. So it's a cat and mouse game, probably here to stay for a while.
I just have one more question, Manuel, and that is, when you get up in the morning and you go to work, what's that thing that you just can't wait to get to your desk to do every day?
Learn new things. It's been 12 years since I've joined Deezer, and I'm always learning new things, like learning how this new musical genre is appearing somewhere and people have been listening to this weird music and now it's becoming a thing, or understanding that there is this new usage of music that is increasing, and we didn't know that people were actually using music for that. Or discovering new artists, all of that. So learning things. I guess the thing that is really driving people in my team is curiosity and the fact that we still have a lot of things to learn on music and how people consume it.
I love that. Well, tell us, where can people learn more? Where can they go, and find some of that Deezer research that you do? Where can they learn more about you and Deezer?
Well, we have this website, research.deezer.com. Don't get too afraid by some of the titles. Some of them are fairly mathematically charged, let's say, but some others are probably easier to read. It goes all the way from computer science to sociology and psychology, so there really are a lot of topics that we try to cover here. And I guess also we've done some appearances in podcasts, so you can find us there.
Great. Well, keep up the great work. Hope to talk to you again. Really appreciate your time. You guys are doing some really incredible, innovative work there, and it's fun to shine a light on it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot.
You've been listening to Your Morning Coffee, the weekly music news program for the new music business. Join Jay Gilbert and Mike Etchart next time for the digital music news you need to know.